About suffering, I think, because we've got so much of it going on in the world. Right now, as we do this today, this live, there's a lot of commotion in England over the passing of the Queen, and it's interesting to watch world leaders all giving tribute and honor to this woman. One of them is Canada's Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, who's the son of Pierre Trudeau, who was the Prime Minister a number of years ago. And I was thinking about Justin. I think he's in his late 40s, mid to late 40s. She's been queen longer than he's been alive. And for most people, because she's so old and she reigned for 70 years, she's been queen longer than most people have been alive. So to the extent anyone knew anything about England, the British Empire, or anything else, United Kingdom, she's the only queen there's ever been, right? So the reason I'm thinking about that in the context of suffering is it's interesting to look at all the people there paying tribute, speaking words of kindness, talking about her service. And then there's always a group of protesters in Wales and Northern Ireland and Scotland and England, which constitute the four countries of the United Kingdom, anti-monarchists. They want to end it and all that sort of thing. And there's always a group that have a different opinion, and their opinion's fine. But it marvels, I marvel at the level of emotion and tribute. So stars, David Beckham, who's a high-powered soccer player from England, world champion, world's best at one point, not anymore. There's a movie even about him called Bend It Like Beckham, and Bend It refers, if you're not familiar with soccer, to your ability to kick the ball and have it do this big curve in order to go where you want it to go around something. So you see people do that on corner kicks, they'll kick it out there, and people from the corner can bend it so it goes out and then in to the goal, even though the corner of the soccer field is right there parallel with the goal. Always amazes me. So he stood in line 14 and a half hours. There were no cuts. There were no people. And what's interesting is to see all the people in line talk about how many people they've met, what good people they are, and all these spectacular people. And when we look at the news, there's always pain and suffering and murder and sadness and poverty in the rest of the news. They have the Queen stuff on TV, and my wife is very interested in all that, so it's been on now for days, almost constantly. I think we do turn it off when she goes to bed, but anyway, she is planning on getting up at 2 a.m. here in Edmonton in Mountain Time to watch the proceedings of the funeral. So the end of suffering. Suffering is a state of mind. Now, there are physical things that cause pain. There's no question about it. So I'm not diminishing any of those. And in fact, I had one the other day. I was using a seam ripper to do something, one of those little sewing tools. And I messed up and dug a big hole in my hand, and it bled furiously for some period of time. And now it's almost healed. So that was pain. My hand still hurts. Okay. Suffering is a bigger word, a more comprehensive word, and it sort of gives this ongoing level of discomfort. And most suffering is mental. Now, there are some physical things, constant pain, where the people are in, and I've had periods of my life with that too. I had back pain 12 years ago and was scheduled to have surgery, and did a meditation miracle and got away without doing that and healed my back. But anyway, that's a story for another day. The end of suffering. So how do we end? How do I end suffering? Well, I'll tell you how I've ended suffering in my life, because I no longer experience suffering. And it's like, wow, you're lying, someone might think, or you're pretending. And it's simply because I've realized finally, suffering is a state of mind. I won't live there. Whatever's going on around me is what it is. Money, economy, inflations, people complaining, anger, even a physical attack, or even when I was ill badly and died in the hospital in June of 2018, my body was ravaged with a fatal illness and my heart stopped. I died. Obviously, some other things happened because I'm here talking, or else this is a ghost. And then when I was in a coma for long enough that when I got up, I couldn't walk. I'd lost 35 pounds. I was completely atrophied. I couldn't get out of bed at all. I had to drag my legs one at a time over the side with my hands because I couldn't move them. So that's where I started from. But in the process of getting past all that, in the process of rehabilitation, because I can now run, I'm certainly not up to where I was, and maybe never will be because the lungs were badly, badly, badly damaged. But I, all of that is no suffering. It just is. And here's the thing, and I'm going to say this really slow, probably for me, not for you. Here's the fun part. Whatever's going on around me or with this body, the essence of us is somewhere in here. Like if I cut off my legs, I'm still here. If I cut off my arms, I'm still here. There's a thing in there, an intelligence. Somebody calls it a sentience. I think of it as your intelligence or your essence, right? The thing that is eternal and forever. And that's inside of an energetic body, inside of your body. So no, we don't understand how all that works. But my body was in pain. I decided not to worry about it, not to make it the object of focus. The IRS got mad at me several years ago and did a lot of things, and I had a lot of struggle with that. Then I didn't understand what I understand now. And so, oh no, I was worried. I was sick to my stomach. I wanted to vomit. And, they took some money and I hadn't done some things right, made some mistakes, ignored some letters, and didn't do what I could have done, which I then was forced to do because they came and took money, all my money from all my bank accounts. And this was a number of years ago, not recently. But anyway, and so that was suffering. Oh no, what am I going to do? That today, when things happen, I don't do that. I simply accept it. This has happened. What do I wish to do? And that's not failing to acknowledge what's real. It's putting you and me, it puts me in a more powerful place to deal with what's real. It doesn't change the weather or the taxes or the illness, but puts me in a better place to do something. And it certainly puts me in a more enjoyable place to live my life. So the end of suffering is a goal that we could have. My goal this year, my commitment this year, is to help 10 million people to discover, to develop, and to serve each other with their divine gifts. I'd like to help you. Maybe you're already doing all you can to serve with your divine gifts, and maybe you don't even know you have any. Or maybe you think you got left out. I don't know. There's another piece, entirely different piece about the end of suffering, and that is our willingness to love and serve. Because when I define the ultimate life for me, I say a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy by serving with my divine gifts. So service is my ultimate life. I love to serve. It doesn't mean I spend all my time in volunteer soup kitchens, although I've done that, and I'm sure you have too. What it means is the way I approach everything, including this broadcast and everything I'm doing, is how can I serve you? And so I want to know, how could I help you be happier? How can we? I mean, that's what we do. We love and serve each other. So me asking you, how can I help you? I ask people that all the time, and they say, I don't know. I don't know. So that means one or two things. That means they either everything's perfect in their life and they're already there, in which case it's fantastic. I want to deepen the relationship and find out how we can work together to do more good things. Or they haven't really thought about it and they can't think of anything right now. And the things that come to mind are like, oh, let's see, I need some more money. I'd like a lot of vacation. And you're not going to wave a magic wand and give me $1 billion or change everything in my life. So you can't really do anything. And I used to maybe think like that, but that's so short-sighted. What I love is to give people something that will help them. So when people ask me that, and they inevitably do, especially when I say, hey, how can I help you? How can I serve you? What would make your day happy? Those kind of things. I always have an answer. So I'll give you something. If you want, I can offer you something right now. And the thing I can offer you is I have a podcast called Your Ultimate Life, and it's on all the podcast platforms, Your Ultimate Life. I've got 700 episodes and counting. That's a gift that I have given to you to be encouraged, to find your divine gifts, to lift and bless yourself. And most of the episodes are really short. Most of them are 15 to 20 minutes, and they might be as long as 30, but most of them are shorter. And I do that, and there's no payment. I don't get any money from podcasts. Nobody does. But I do it and stuff like this because I want to encourage you. You don't have to suffer. You do not have to suffer. And there are two ways to do that. One is the internal choice that you don't need to live in suffering, accept what is and work with it. And two, make a conscious effort on purpose to see who you can love and serve today. Now, you may wonder, I don't know, I would have wondered, well, how does doing something for somebody else end my suffering? I don't really know, but it does. It does. It makes our own problems look smaller, seem lighter, seem easier to do. So I'd invite you to listen to your ultimate life. I'd invite you to chase your ultimate life. I'd invite you to define your ultimate life. What would that look like? For a long time, I had no idea. For me, and I do now, my ultimate life is serving. I love that. I'm the happiest when I'm doing things for people. I know that because when I work with my clients, we have hour and a half phone calls. And the only reason I'm there is to see how I can help them. And when I get done, even if it's been a difficult or, emotional or powerful conversation, I feel energized and feel good. I feel energized and feel good. Why? Because I've been serving. So one ticket to end suffering is to serve. If you want to end your suffering, serve someone. If you want to end your suffering, make a choice to simply accept what's going on around you. And then if you want to do something about it, do. But railing or being angry or frustrated only diminishes your capacity to create. Think about that. Anger and frustration diminishes your capacity to create. It's never more obvious than when I'm either writing one of my books or I'm in the studio recording. When I'm frustrated or negative in emotions, I can't do anything. If something's happened, where there's been a harsh word or anything, I've got to go fix it now. I can do nothing. So serve and love. Suffering will end for you if you love yourself, if you make a choice to simply work with what is, and if you serve. And if that all sounds like gobbledygook, I invite you to have a conversation with me and let's explore it deeper, because you deserve to have a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy. Are you having it? You deserve it. If you'd like some help, I'm happy to be there for you. We'll see you tomorrow.